Hey, so FNAF is known for one thing, its confusing lore. But if it was known for a second thing, it would be its wide and varied list of characters. From your Freddies down to your Happy Frogs, every character seems to have at least one fan. Naturally, as a human being, I have my own opinions as well. And in this video, I plan to go through each game and discuss my favorite characters. This idea is directly taken from Pastra, but with my own twist. See, I hate positivity on this channel, and that's why I've decided to throw in the worst character in each game as well. I only really have one ground rule, and it's that I'm gonna avoid Easter egg characters where I can, because otherwise that would pretty much be the worst character in every single game. So no, FNAF 2's worst isn't gonna be JJ or any of the other Rare Chance characters, for example, because I think that's boring. With that out of the way, let's hop into our first game, FNAF 1. Now, excluding Easter eggs, we have a grand total of 4 characters, though Golden Freddy is so significant to the story that I'm willing to bump it up to 5. Doesn't matter because he's not my favorite. My favorite FNAF 1 character has and will probably always be Foxy. Yeah, call me basic, I don't care. Foxy is sick. His design is just immediately appealing to me. As the most broken down of the original 4, his design is the most interesting and unique. He also stands out the most in gameplay, since he doesn't just slowly approach your doors, but instead charges at you. All this combined makes it really easy to see why Foxy is the most popular of the original cast. Or at least was the most popular. I'd argue Bonnie has since taken his place for some reason. Anyway, my least favorite is yet another common opinion, but I don't really like Chica. She's the most basic one gameplay wise, and in my opinion design wise too. She's just never really had a standout role throughout the entire series. It mostly feels like an obligation when she's included in games like UCN, or even more recently with Into the Pit. Overall, FNAF 1 is a pretty great cast, with no real bad characters, though it's probably due to a general lack of characters. Let's move on to FNAF 2, where our cast grows to over 2 times this game's size. Now, despite being only our second game, this was one of, if not the hardest choice I had to make in this entire video. That choice was which character I like more, Wither Bonnie or Toy Freddy. These characters are so close in quality that when I made a tier list for every FNAF character, they were right next to each other. Wither Bonnie has a sick design and one of, if not my favorite voice in the entire series. But Toy Freddy is funnier and is used more interestingly in gameplay, you know, with his whole gamer persona going on in UCN and stuff. I struggled on this for a while, and after heavy consideration, I decided that I think Wither Bonnie beats Toy Freddy out by just a smidge. Toy Freddy's design is just inherently less interesting, and again, Wither Bonnie is one of the best overall designs in the entire series. While his gameplay has never been anything special, in fact, he's one of the most basic characters in UCN, it's never been bad either, so I'm willing to look past it. Honorable mention to Mangle for being another contender for best FNAF 2 character, mostly due to having one of the best designs in the entire series. It's seriously amazing. For the worst, yeah, it's Balloon Boy. It's Balloon Boy. I knew it, you knew it, your senator probably knew it, the worst is Balloon Boy. Let's just move on. Though honorable mention to Withered Freddy for being super overrated. His design is literally just a worse FNAF 1 Freddy. FNAF 3... yeah. Okay, so everyone knows my favorite is Springtrap because... literally what other choice is there? All the Phantoms suck, and Springtrap is literally the only moderately interesting character in FNAF 3. I mean, that's kind of the point of FNAF 3, it's Springtrap's game. I'll go ahead and say it because, I don't know, I'm sure at least one person is curious. My favorite character besides Springtrap in FNAF 3 is Phantom Freddy, for no particular reason. I just like him the most of the Phantoms, who I dislike greatly. Phantom Angle is my least favorite of FNAF 3 because... let's just move on, things will get more interesting from here, I promise. FNAF 4 has some of my least favorite designs in the entire series, but it does have a couple highlights, and my favorite is Nightmare Fredbear. He just looks incredibly cool. In-game, the extras menu doesn't count. But seriously, besides his goofy-ass extras menu render, he looks really cool. The way he pops out against the darkness because of his bright yellow color is super menacing, and I love his stomach mouth. His gameplay kinda sucks ass, but so does the rest of FNAF 4, so he gets a pass. I'm super glad he was the final boss. Even if I hate FNAF 4, I'll always love this guy as a boss fight. Shoutouts to Nightmare on though, he's pretty epic too. For our worst, I don't like the Jacko animatronics, either of them. They're just the regular bad designs, but on fire, and I'm not a fan. Of the two, I guess I dislike Jacko Bonnie more, but I really could go either one here. Funnily enough, I stole this video idea from Pastra, and I have now put their favorite character in the entire series as one of my least favorite. My bad. Okay, here's the deal. I was writing my script and got like 5 games down before realizing I forgot FNAF World, so let's make this quick. My favorite one is Old Man Consequences. He's never done all that much, but neither have any of the other FNAF World characters. I like his cryptic monologues, and it's always really cool how you have to find him. For example, going 3 levels deep in FNAF World, or setting his AI to 1 in UCN. For my least favorite, this might sound weird, but I don't really think FNAF World has a single bad character. No, really, not a single one. I don't count the enemies as characters since they don't seem substantial enough, which just leaves us with the shopkeepers and random other characters, which are all pretty solid. Some would say Dee Dee for being annoying in UCN, but I actually like her in UCN. I would go Virtua Freddy, but he's more of an Easter egg and that doesn't count for this video, so I guess I'll go Meadow? I like Meadow, but I mean, he's only okay. Sorry, man. Sister Location is our first game where the animatronics really have personality, so this was a tough decision, and I'm just kidding, my answer is Funtime Freddy. I love him so much. He's my second favorite character in the entire series, and that mostly comes down to his voice. Kellen Goff really did a stellar job.
Well, hello again! Are you ready for round 2?
His personality is just great, being a mix of hilarious and menacing. I still think it's a crime he wasn't in UC, and I would have loved to hear his death quotes. In gameplay, he also stands out, specifically in Sister Location's Custom Night. I've always thought his synergy with Bon Bon was really well handled. My only honorable mention is Funtime Foxy, and yes, it's mostly for the voice, but in my defense, it's a good-ass voice.
It seems you couldn't make it to my show, so I brought the show to you!
For the worst, this one was easy, because this game has my second least favorite character too, that being Electrobab. Literally, what is their purpose? The normal Biddy Babs are already bad, but this is useless and bad. They were clearly just added as a way to fill out the Custom Night roster, and I really don't understand why they couldn't have just used Ennard or Baby. Speaking of useless Custom Night animatronics just made to fill out space, honorable mention to Yendo for being the most overrated character in the entire series besides Shadow Freddy. His design is whatever and he does practically nothing. No clue why people like him so much. FNAF 6 is my favorite game in the series, and adds a ton of characters. We have the scrap animatronics, the rockstar animatronics, and the mediocre melodies. Not to mention all the random other characters like Music Man or El Chip. My favorite is one that not a lot of people would say, but I'm actually gonna go Helpy here. He's just a silly little guy who helps you out. It's great, and he's so great that he's appeared in every FNAF game since, though usually in minor roles. This might be a controversial opinion, but Helpy is actually my third favorite character in the entire series. I can't really explain why, I just think he's really silly and goofy, and sometimes that's all you need. Honorable mentions to both Scrap Baby and Mr. Hippo. Scrap Baby because I think she's the most underrated animatronic in the entire series, and Mr. Hippo because it's Mr. Hippo, I mean, come on. As for the worst, You are the worst character in the series, and it's not even close. Your design is putrid, your voice sucks, your gameplay sucks, all of you sucks, and I hate you. No one else even comes close to the amount of hatred I have for this character. Rockstar Chica's voice and design sucks, and she's still 100 times more bearable than Funtime Chica ever was. Let's move on before I have an aneurysm. UCN... I think it introduces one new character, that being XOR. So congratulations, XOR, you get to be my favorite and least favorite of this game. I'm sure your mother is very proud. Help Wanted is an interesting case. Or not so interesting case, depending on how you look at it. It's mostly a compilation of older games, so it actually doesn't really introduce new characters, and when it does, it's mostly just recolors like Party Freddy, who I don't care about. My favorite is obviously Glitchtrap, because like FNAF 3, what other option is there? His design is cool, clearly looking much more like a guy in a suit rather than an actual animatronic like the rest of the FNAF characters. His wide grin has always been super creepy, and his overall design is just great. Literally my only issue with him is the fact that his name is Glitchtrap and not Malhair, because wow, that's a much better name. As for the worst, there's really no other option but plush babies. The only good thing about this character is the origin of its design. Funko released a Sister Location plushie wave, and the Circus Baby plush was so atrocious looking that they made it into a new character. That is hilarious. Everything else about this character sucks though. Because they're based off ugly plushies, their design isn't great, and they're always super annoying in the gameplay, made even worse by the fact that they're used super often. They appear like 5 separate times throughout both Help Wanted games, and I'm not sure why. Guys, look! AR is actually in a Froggy video! So AR is interesting because it doesn't introduce a single new character, unless you count Markiplier. You may be asking why it's on the list then, and that's because, while it has no original characters, it introduces many skins for the characters it does have. So I thought it'd be fun to include which skin I think is the best and worst. The best is Magician Mangle, no contest. Everything about this skin just clicks for me. The fact that her second head has bunny ears and a wand despite being so destroyed, and the comically large saw he holds never fails to amuse me. As for gameplay, all skins are pretty much identical, so for this one I really only have design to go off of. My least favorite is Swamp Balloon Boy, because gross. I mean, just look at him. It's gross. Just kidding, guys. Best and worst skin is actually Liberty Chica, because that's the only skin that matters. It's my video. I make the rules here. Security Breach has an incredible cast of characters. In fact, some would say that's the only incredible thing it has. Pretty much every character has its fans here. Even Vanny, who has a grand total of 5 minutes of screen time. I guess I can't complain. My favorite character is even less than that. Because my favorite is Sun and Moon. Not just my favorite character in this game, but in the entire series. Yeah, I'm one of those people. Now, why do I like Sun and Moon so much? Are they stand out in the gameplay? Well, no. Moon is a pretty basic chase you animatronic, and Sun has no gameplay whatsoever. Is it the design? I mean, partly, I guess, but is that really enough when the character has 5 seconds of screen time to show off the design? I guess I like Sun and Moon for potential more than anything. They have an absolutely banger voice, seriously, Goff killed it, and their personalities, especially Sun's, are just great. These are characters that have such wasted potential that thankfully thanks to Help Wanted 2 we're finally starting to see. In Help Wanted 2 they just made Sun a bitch, and that's great, I love that for him. Overall, I love what they've done with this character, and just about every aspect to him. I just wish there was more of him. As for the worst, this one was actually hard. All the characters in this game have such great personalities that I can't help but love them. That is, with one exception. Glamrock Endos basically have no personality, so they're who I chose. They're not terrible, but they mainly appear in a grand total of 2 areas, and their mechanic is a pretty simple Weeping Angels gimmick that every horror game has, so it's hard to feel excited by it. Their design is also one of the more whatever ones in the game. Like, yup, that sure is an endoskeleton, totally haven't seen that a billion other times in the series. I also want to give an honorable mention to Roxy for the worst, not because I actually dislike her, I actually like her quite a bit, but because I think her fans should be cast out of society. They know what they did. Ruin is another banger game for characters like Security Breach. This might be my least popular take in the entire video, but my favorite is Eclipse. Now, why is this my most controversial take, you ask? Because he has 22 seconds of screen time. That's right, you can count how much screen time he has because he only appears in a singular cutscene. Why is he my favorite then? Well, for starters, his design. I think it's my favorite of the Ruin cast, perfectly showing what the daycare attendant would look like when destroyed. Also, again, his voice. It's my 3rd time mentioning him, but Goff did an excellent job. Can you see why he's my favorite voice actor in the series? Lastly, I find his story to be heartbreaking. Yes, he's finally whole again, but he is now doomed to an eternity of cleaning the daycare, waiting for kids to arrive who never will because the place is abandoned. You can't help but feel bad for him. He's so nice, and yet is completely screwed over by the narrative. As for my least favorite, we should keep up the hot takes. I don't like Glamrock Bonnie. Now this might be pushing it since he sort of only appears as an Easter egg, but I think he's just significant enough to count. If you deactivate all the wet floor signs throughout the pizza place, you can find him dying on the floor. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of this design. I can't really nail down why, I just think it's kinda ugly. You know what, I'm glad Monty killed you, he's better anyways. Now, on to our last game of the day. We have, oh god damn it, what an underwhelming finish. The game that introduces barely anyone. According to the wiki, this game introduces 4 new characters, 2 of which I don't care about whatsoever, so I guess my favorite is Carney? He's nothing exceptional, but I do enjoy his voice, and his design is alright enough, I guess. The worst is Mystic Hippo, because she's kind of the only option. The fact that they made an exclusive minigame to the PS5, and it's just her telling you what card you stared at for like 30 seconds is both hilarious and slightly infuriating. She's useless, and that's why she's my least favorite. Though again, there's barely anyone to choose from in this game. And that was my favorite and least favorite character in each game. I seem to flip-flop between pretty basic and controversial. For example, I think my FNAF 1, 2, and 3 opinions were all pretty basic, yet my FNAF World 6, and especially my Ruin takes, were ones I hadn't really heard from others before. Overall, I'm happy with how this list turned out. The only real hard choice I had to make was between Withered Bonnie and Toy Freddy. The rest was pretty cut and dry. Let me know what some of your favorite and least favorite characters are in the comments below. Maybe we got some Funtime Chica fans watching and they now hate me. I don't know. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Also, sorry for disappearing for like 2.5 months. I kinda got distracted with school and playing Smash Bros. Melee. That's not a joke, that's pretty much all I've been doing. I'm gonna get back to that now. Bye!